Hey guys, 1 2 1 2. How are we doing today? Cool. Mic sounds good. Hey Jeremy, would you mind giving me a quick test for your mic?
Hello, hello.
Hey, this
Awesome.
this is Jeremy. You working?
Hey guys, one two
Yes,
one.
yes.
Sound good, sound good. One sec, guys. Okay, so we have Gary on the Gitcoin account, right? And then we have Jeremy on Jeremy's account.
Yep, on the Gitcoin Passport account. Give her Gary.
Awesome, no problem. Sounds good. So for everybody listening today, obviously you guys know how these go. For the most of you, we are going to talk about some interesting things going on with Gitcoin, and a awesome campaign and a few other things. So I won't give out too many details off the hop, and you guys can obviously listen and feel free to respond below with anything, any questions you guys may have. Feel free to tag Gary or Jeremy as well, and if I see anything in particular that is a good ask or helpful to the conversation, I'll make sure to throw it in and give you a little shout out. So I appreciate that very much, guys. Thank you everybody for coming on today. I hope you're having a awesome Tuesday / Wednesday wherever you are in the world. And I'd like to thank the Gitcoin team for joining us. With that, let's dive right into it. So I'm going to ask the question, obviously. So I know this is going to Jeremy, but also I know Gary's here. So feel free to chime in with anything ever. Don't hold back for sure. Just interrupt me, anything you need. Okay. But yeah, we'll start with Jeremy, and then we'll go to Gary for just some intros, and then we'll go right into the meat of the question. So Jeremy, I'll start with you. Can you please just give us an introduction to yourself, a bit of your background, and what you've been working on with Gitcoin?
Yeah, sounds good. So I am the product and workstream lead for Gitcoin Passport. So Gitcoin is broken up into several different work streams and products, and one of which is Gitcoin Passport. I've been with the team for about 4 months now. So
Very cool.
in Web3 times, it feels like a long time. Yeah, but
Yeah, it does.
in in the calendar time, it's not been that long. And so I come from a long background in product management, mostly in VC-backed Web2 startups. So I've done 6 startups, built a whole range of products across like a whole gamut of different product types, B2B, B2C. And so the most similar to Passport is I was actually part of a team that built anti-spam tools, and we
Very cool.
scored all the IP addresses on the internet every night. Yeah, it was massive, and it was pretty cool to see it actually get utilized to prevent spam and fraud by all the major ISPs. So that's probably kind of the thing that's the most similar in my background to what we're doing today at Passport and focused on Sybil detection.
No, that's awesome. I mean, I can trust a man that knows how to build, right? With everything you've done, so that's very cool. Um, Thank you so much for the awesome intro. Let's get an intro from Gary as well while you're here. Of course, feel free to give us an introduction, a bit of your background as well as what you're doing with Gitcoin.
Yeah, thanks for having us. Uh, so my background started with software engineering at Google. I actually worked on Google Cloud
Wow, very cool.
for 4 years. Um, and that was a really great experience, just seeing distributed systems at scale. I worked on the Cloud SQL product. Um, I left to then build a nonprofit to train young leaders. While I was doing that, kind of long story short, I realized like, wow, like what better tool to empower young people and really the world than this distributed ledger technology that I was seeing in crypto and Web3. So I just started to fall in love with that and just started to try really just understand all the different use cases. I'm personally a huge fan of all the different regenerative use cases. Like regen Web3 is like a big niche that I'm a fan of. Pretty close with like people like Kevin Owocki. And while I got deep into that space, fell in love with Gitcoin and the whole culture and everything that they were building there, and kind of similar to like a lot of people like Jeremy discovered that none of the regen stuff will happen if there's you just can't trust any system because it's overrun by
Sure.
bots and scammers and Sybil attacks. So I like to say that it there may be a number of focus areas of what to build in crypto Web3 that are tied for first, but certainly anti-Sybil is really, really up there.
Agreed. And real quick, would you mind just giving a quick rundown of what regen is for those that might not have understood the term?
Yeah, so just my understanding of it is let's focus on regenerative finance. So there's I think it's really centers around the question of how can people who are regenerating the earth, right, regenerating soil, protecting biodiversity, how can they be rewarded for doing these actions, right? I was recently in Africa, met some small scale regenerative farmers, and
Very
they
cool.
wanna monetize and make a living on in the global carbon and biodiversity markets. And the long story short, which we won't get into, is there's promise that blockchain may make proof of regeneration more trustworthy and fungible and these kinds of things. But again, if you can't trust, it's all really about trust, right? And that's why
Agreed.
the identity space is super interesting. That's why we're here.
Yeah, agreed. It really does come full circle, and that trust factor is going to be so huge long term. And that's why I'm very excited with what you guys are doing and what you guys are working on. So I appreciate that greatly. And I do, yeah, I think that is a very important area that not a lot of people are very in tune with, the region area. I feel like it is very like smaller niche right now for a lot of the more general crypto users. So that's a nice little intro for maybe some people here today that might not have known. And with that, yeah, we're going to go right back to Jeremy with our, first point of topic today. Can you just give us just a rundown for any users here today that might not know kind of just the general overview of what Gitcoin is?
Yeah, actually, I think I might let Gary take the Gitcoin overview, and I can
Of
do
course, no
the
problem.
what is Passport and what are we trying to do with Passport, if you don't mind taking that,
Awesome.
Gary.
That's the next one. So
Yeah, I
appreciate
think we
it.
might just ping pong back and forth. But yeah,
Of course, no
So
problem.
Gitcoin, we create solutions that empower communities to fund, build, and protect what matters. We're known for our Gitcoin grants program, which is distributed over 50 million to early stage builders championing projects across, yes, some regen stuff, but also just DeFi, Ethereum infrastructure, other open source projects, and more. And in the last year, we've made a huge leap to try to be known for decentralizing and just democratizing access to the tools that allowed us to even run our popular grants program. And that includes the product of Gitcoin Grant Stack, which allows anyone to run quadratic funding rounds. Then Allo Protocol, which is our open source funding protocol that really powers Grant Stack. Then you have Gitcoin Passport, which is our anti-Sybil Sybil defense tool, which is relatively easy to integrate if you have an app, an L1, you're doing airdrop, etc. And it's also quite comprehensive and flexible. But I don't know what your next question is, but if it relates to what Gitcoin Passport is, would love to pass it on to Jeremy.
Yeah,
Of
and
course, that's actually what we're going to go right into. So,
yeah, and just before we get into like what is Passport, I think it's worthwhile to just kind of highlight how we got here, because why is a public goods funding team
mhm.
working on anti-Sybil? And it was really born out of a need within Gitcoin itself. The project's been going on for over a year, and what we found is that if you were trying to do public goods funding using quadratic funding, which takes an emphasis on people versus how much they're donating, um, having one person is actually really important because that's what the whole math is sort of taking into account. And so the
Mhm.
Gitcoin's quadratic funding in the public goods funding space could easily be attacked if, instead of one person making a $10 public goods funding, they took that $10 and spread it across 10 different wallets that they controlled. And so that's really what Passport started as, is a way to solve our own problem of making sure that our own systems were protected, because there wasn't a good Sybil defense solution out there in the marketplace. And so that's why it was born. And so what we try to do is help communities, teams, projects protect those things that matter by providing a score, which is basically a confidence interval of how likely is somebody to be human, based on a series of identity providers and attestations that we help go get. And so those include Web 2 identity providers, and those also include Web 3. And we call those providers themselves stamps, and each of those stamps has a different credential. So Twitter might be a stamp, and then Twitter age might be a credential underneath that stamp. So that's what we do. Is we built a solution that tries to be as easy as possible for humans, although it's not perfectly easy and instant, and make it as hard as we can for Sybil so that they can't attack those systems, and then connect those in the ecosystem to make sure that they can use this as a free and open source way of doing that Sybil detection and prevention.
So with that bit of background, my next question for you would be, when it comes to, using this in the space, why should this be integrated by, different projects or people that are, running incentive campaigns? Can you give us the sort of more general point form rundown for users listening?
Yeah, for those that are running campaigns, really it's if you care about protecting that campaign. So if there's something at the other end of that campaign that you don't want to have Sybil attacked or don't want to have botted, that's where Passport really comes in to start to help make some differentiations. So, we saw it with the Linea campaign that we ran with Galxe as an example, that the Linea team really wanted to make sure that despite all the quests that they had earlier as part of the Galxe system that they were going through, those Linea voyage quests, they wanted to make sure that at the end the NFTs went into the hands of real people and not into the hands of just large Sybil accounts that were just trying to farm those NFTs for whatever purpose. And so that's a great example of, they want to build some protection in, and then they can use both Galxe and Gitcoin Passport to do that in a really easy to do manner.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that was an amazing campaign. Very exciting, and I'm glad that hopefully for the most part it is in the hands of regular people, right? And that's what we want to do long term. So, very much appreciate that. And so, my next question for you, let's go into the details of the campaign that launched, I believe, in the last 24 hours, the Gitcoin Passport campaign. Could you cover the details of that for users today?
Yes. So we are really excited to have announced the anti-Sybil assembly campaign a little over 24 hours ago. We already have almost 100K participants.
Oh, wow.
In just a little over 24 hours.
That's huge.
It's there's candidly for people listening, it was an amazing opportunity for us to build on the success of the Linea campaign and just really dog food our integration that we're really proud of, and we want as many people to use. There's a few things that we're trying to make sure are really tight with our scalability of our systems, and they've been handling it pretty well. And we're rapidly improving it so that anyone can run passport protected Galxe campaigns, and we'll work with your team on really good educational materials on that. But we have a lot of at this point we have tens of thousands of people that are really on board with the mission of Gitcoin Passport, understand that all of our future, all of our bags are at stake if we do not take anti-Sybil really seriously and don't basically show hey, I'm a unique human, right? And so we want to just normalize the process of people feeling celebrated for verifying their unique humanity. We also wanted to give people a fun challenge of the lower levels are still meaningful and they look pretty cool. But I think, I've personally been blown away by the dozens of people that have acquired the top tier. And we'll probably find ways to reward the lower tiers as well. But I've been kind of playing around with a Telegram group just for the quote unquote chosen people that got 60
That's
plus.
awesome.
But look, like Galaxy is amazing with its oat system, the Polygon NFTs, because anyone now can say,
Hmm.
uh, I want to, like on Guild, for example. Galaxy has an integration with Guild, and so if I
Yep.
want to create a gated Telegram just to people that have, um, let's say that are superhuman, right? Which means that they are they have 40 plus. I can now easily do that because this O exists, right? And so a lot of people maybe rightfully ask, like, what is the direct reward for getting like a superhuman, getting chosen one, etc. And it's like
Yeah.
anyone can decide what the reward is, right? But like because it's directly correlated with your unique humanity, that just actually just creates utility for Web3 because um, now you can just more safely and easily safeguard your communities by demanding that someone claims this, and it's like basically free to claim it.
Yeah, it's pretty exciting, and honestly, I'm very happy to hear, the last few sentences just covering, the process, and I'm glad that we've been able to give you guys that opportunity to kind of bring this to life. And I'm curious, my next question for you was kind of, what was that initial idea process for this campaign? And do you feel like you've had these tools, to bring this to life, from us? And I just want to hear that experience from you in the building process. What kind of sparked this idea initially for this longer multi-form campaign, obviously needing to collect many different notes?
Well, I think if you have the opportunity to make something that could be a little bit boring, which is like, yeah, proving your unique humanity, but making it like kind of like a heroic thing. Why not, right? And so we got
Hmm.
one of our really talented designers to come up with like, how do we create something that like really feels like you're collecting like runes, and it's like
Yes.
a mystical setting, right? Like I asked one of the people that got the 60 plus NFT, and they're like, I just really like the name and the design. Like, and
Mhm.
like the person's like a big fan of the Matrix, so they're like, oh, I want to be like Neo.
I
So
want to be the chosen one.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So uh, we again, there's like a number of reasons why we wanted to do this. We wanted to kind of stress test our system. We wanted to
Hmm.
see um, the distribution of people's like kind of willingness to get different kinds of stamps, and like because we want to know like what threshold to set to recommend different communities like have like a minimum score. So right now we've been recommending about 20, and like it's looking like that was like a reasonable one because like the vast majority of people were able to get at least 20. So there's like a number of reasons, and again, it's like a fun thing as well.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I was
No,
just
I,
going to
I
jump
I
in,
agree.
Gary. Like,
Of
one
course.
of the things we kept hearing is folks wanted to be able to quote unquote mint their passport. So, how do I mint this? Is there a way to mint something that's sort of more durable than the score, which may change over time? And so, really, it was just something that was kind of fun that the community was asking us for, and it was a great way to do that in an easy manner with Galaxy.
No, that's it's a perfect way to do it, honestly. And yeah, you mentioned with the art. I love as it goes along, it just gets sort of deeper. It almost gets from like a mystical perspective to like a very like almost like a cultish look with the eye. I very much like that a lot. It's super cool. I don't know if you've ever. I think it's called Pluto, but that eye is a very popular design, and I think it resonates well with people in a very kind of more like outside the box kind of idea. So I just want to say that's really cool. I love the design, so it's very awesome. And
Thank you so much.
so yeah, of course, no, for people today, just so they fully understand kind of the process here. You start with egg, and so what's the lowest and then the highest point score you need? It's 60 is the highest, correct?
Yes. So you just need to create a passport basically with at least one
Mm-hmm.
stamp to get the egg, and then to get the proto being, you need 10 or more. To get Earthling, it's 20 or more awakened being, is 30 or more, superhuman is 40 or more, demigod is 50 or more, and chosen one is 60 or more.
Amazing. And for the users listening today, so what's that process for getting their passport? Could we go over that for everybody listening, just to make it more easier to understand for them?
Yes. So the basic units that you're collecting within a passport is basically pieces of proofs of your identity, which we call stamps. They're
Mhm.
verifiable credentials that signify your unique humanity. So we have a couple dozen options that you can pick. So
Yeah.
there's some Web2 social graph ones like Twitter, now called X, Facebook.
Mhm.
Um, you can verify your Google account, but you can also now verify your membership in different guilds for guild.xyz. There's also a few really well-known identity providers like Bright ID and Civic, and
Yeah.
the list goes on. And different stamps contribute different weights to your overall unique
Score.
humanity score.
Okay.
And how we calculate that, how much each stamp is worth, is more or less based on how much of a good signal it actually provides that someone is a unique human. So we have a stamp called for the service called holonym, which is a zero knowledge government ID validator, and of course that's going to give you a good number of points because you're basically validating your government ID.
Mhm. Okay, and then so through the process of obviously getting all these stamps, you can eventually get past 60. Is there like a max score you can get right now?
I mean, technically it's 100, although we had to
Oh, okay.
pull a couple of Twitter credentials because we couldn't actually continue to get those from Twitter or X, if
Mhm.
you will call it that now.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
yeah, so that
That's
puts
a
the
tough
total.
one.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we're just being limited by what they're allowing providers to do, even though we're a paying API provider, they still are limiting what we're
Yeah.
doing based on our volume. So yeah, so the current top end is in 97 right now, as of today.
Okay, cool. Yeah, no, and don't worry, we've been there as well with Twitter. Twitter or X. Honestly, I just still call it Twitter at this point, but it's always been such a hassle to work with, so in the credential area. So don't worry, everybody here, we totally get you. And so obviously, yeah, in the discussion there, it was mentioned, obviously as a Sybil tool and other Sybil tools, when it comes to Gitcoin Passport, what sets it apart from other similar, ideas, projects, tools, etc. What makes Gitcoin Passport different?
Yeah, fundamentally for us, it's really two things. One is that we're an aggregator of identity providers, so you don't have to choose between, say, WorldCoin as an
Mhm.
example or Bright ID. You can use lots of different providers in the solution, and then allow the users to choose. So, the way we've built the system is that if there's users that are really into Web3 and don't want to have anything that's potentially linked to their identity at all, such as the Civic or the holonym stamps, you can get a
Mhm.
passing score without having to use those particular stamps. And then
Oh,
others that
cool.
might be brand new to Web3, who might not care as much, and don't have on-chain history and other data to sort of back up their humanity, will require those stamps to get there. So we give lots of different paths at different comfort levels to people, to enable them to get a passing score of 20. And then we also allow those projects to sort of customize, if they wanted to, which of those paths users could potentially take. So that's the first thing, is it's an identity aggregator. So it's not an if question, it becomes an and question.
Yeah,
And
I
then
like that.
the second piece that we think really helps set us apart is that um, it's really, really easy. So it's up to 1 to 2 API calls if somebody was going to integrate with us directly. Galaxy's already
Amazing.
built it in, so it's really easy to just set your own threshold. Like, we like the score, we want to use the default score, but we want to change the threshold to
Hmm.
18 to make it easier, or 25 to make it harder. They can easily do that through the integration that we have built together with the Galaxy system, which is fantastic. So I think it's that aggregation and the ease of use that really is what kind of sets us apart.
No, I agree, and I think honestly, ease of use is one of the most important pieces of the pie as we go into the future of this area, right? So, 100%. That's really awesome. I'm glad we could have worked on that with you guys as well. And yeah, it's been awesome seeing this come to life, and seeing this campaign launched, and getting to chat with you guys today has been super awesome. Very excited to see even more participants. I mean, we're a day in and we're already like pretty much over 100K, it looks like. I mean, there's 93K eggs, so that's quite a lot. And obviously more to come. That's very exciting. So my next question for you, and I believe the last question of today is, we have this awesome campaign. This is going to be running until, I believe, the 11th of August. We're in Q3 of the year. We'll eventually be going into Q4. What can we expect from Gitcoin as we go into, the latter half of the year? What can users look forward to?
So, Gitcoin Grants round 18 starts in just about 2 weeks, which is pretty exciting. So that's coming up next. On the Passport side, what we're going to see is a lot of changes to Passport in kind of two ways. One, to make it more effective, so it's easier for us, better for us to be able to distinguish between humans and Sybils. And the second, to make it easier for users to understand what we're doing,
Hmm.
to be able to then work with Passport. I know that we've got hundreds of thousands of users, and there's definitely feedback we've gotten that the process isn't as easy as we want it to be. It's not as
Hmm.
seamless, and some of the stamps are good, some of the stamps are bad. So we're going to continue to tune that over time by adding more stamps, removing stamps, changing credentials, etc. So second half of the year, one of the big things that we're going to be changing is identity staking. So this is
Hmm.
a way now that you can sort of create a fast pass through the Gitcoin Passport by saying I'm human. I'm willing to stake some GTC to prove that I'm human. We're going to be
Yeah.
adding consequences to that. So if you're not human and get discovered, there'll be penalties, and we're going to make it
Whoa,
much
that's
easier for
cool.
people. Yeah, we're going to create a little bit of a token economic system, which you can only do in Web3 around this, which will be really fun. So that's a little bit of alpha of what's to come. But in the process of doing that, we're going to revamp the website, make it much easier. People that may have staked 6 months or 9 months ago, much easier for them to see how much GTC they've staked and pull it out if they want to, and do all that
Hmm.
stuff, and give points for those that are staking on others in the community, not just getting points for being staked on for you. So lots of stuff that we're doing there. We're just in the beginning stages of designing that whole process and that whole system. So we'll get to see that come to light. So that'll be exciting.
Amazing. No, that's very exciting. I love the penalty thing you mentioned, fighting back against the robots. So,
Yeah, I
um,
can't say too much more about that now, but expect it to roll out in phases where
of course.
there's progressively more penalties and more sophistication as we go in through
Hmm.
time. But yeah, and then lastly, just lots more integrations with lots more partners. So we'd love to see, going from the dozen or so campaigns that we've had with Galaxy so far to dozens or hundreds of campaigns that are using Passport through Galaxy is just one example. So pretty excited about the future.
No, I am as well, and I just want to say thank you for coming on today. It's been amazing to chat with you guys. This is a super cool campaign. I'm excited for what's coming from you guys from the rest of the year. This is super important. It is at the end of the day, this Sybil stuff, everything bots, like it is so important, and I don't think enough people understand that. So I just want to thank you guys for coming on and chatting with us. And do you have any final words, Gary, as well, for the listeners today?
I would just say I really appreciate all the feedback that we've gotten so far from the community. So please keep it coming. We're as I tell the team all the time, we're at the beginning of the beginning. So there's a lot
Of
more that we're
course.
going to be doing to make things better. So yeah, just really appreciate all the love and support, and thanks for everything today.
Yeah, I want to echo what Jeremy said, and I just want to say really, really deeply appreciate our partnership with Galaxy. Just the beginning of that partnership as well. We want to make sure that as many campaign admins are aware of just how it should become standard to have, whether it's Gitcoin Passport or not,
Hmm.
some kind of thought about how you're making it. I mean, if you don't want to, it's like if you don't want to think about it all and being like stopping bots, it's like how are you making sure that your rewards are going to unique humans that are what we call high quality participants. Everyone listening, is almost for sure like a high quality participant. How can you make sure that the apps, the chains, all the different products and services within crypto and Web3 that you love do not get sabotaged because they're not thinking deeply about anti-Sybil. It's going to become table stakes to think about it, and this is really why we're so focused on ease of integration. Because if the solution is too complicated, yeah, it's hard to blame projects for being like, oh, we'll figure it out later. So again, we just take a few lines of code to integrate if you are trying to protect your community. But if you're using Galxe as well, right, there's actually no code. So if you run Galxe campaigns and you want to make sure that your rewards are going to real humans, we wanted to show off like a template through our own campaign on how you might be able to do that.
Amazing. No, that's incredibly exciting, and I'm looking forward to every piece. And I want to thank you for your wonderful final words, and I appreciate everything you guys are doing as well. So, and with that, guys, we will close out for today. I've linked the campaign below. If you haven't already checked it out, go check out Gitcoin Passport on Galxe.com. You can give them a follow. Check out the campaign. You can become an egg, or you can become a chosen one. Why not become a chosen one, right? It sounds cool enough, right? So very much agree. Thanks everybody for listening. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Gary. You guys are awesome. I'm looking forward to everything. Let's defeat those bots one step at a time. Let's make sure the users feel empowered. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, and we'll talk next time.